I love movies. I think most people do. It's a form of escape. And who doesn't want to escape from their own lives every once in a while? My favorites are the romantic comedies. They help me forget. They let me escape the reality of my own life, even if it's only for just a few hours. I don't like dramas nearly as much. I mean, why would I watch a movie about someone else's depressing life? Especially when my own life is more of a drama movie than I've ever seen. If you want to cry, just give me $10. I could tell you a true story that might make you cry. I might even throw in a bag of chips and some popcorn. Everyone loves movies. I know I do. In fact, according to the NPAA, in 2015, 1.32 billion movie tickets were sold in the U.S. and Canada. Movies and television are a form of the way for people to escape the realities of their lives. But what are they escaping from? And the award goes to, by Shannon Cartwright, a young woman reveals the horrors that she's escaping from at home. And the award goes to, by Shannon Cartwright. My life would make a pretty good movie. It would be an okay drama, though. It would probably be best told as one of those made for TV, like on Lifetime or something. Like most movies, there's at least one bad guy. And for me, that bad guy would be Dad. It's hard to admit, but my father used to abuse me when I was younger. It started out with him just playing. He'd pinch me. He'd like to see what kind of mark he could leave on my skin. Mom would be off on one of her bridge parties playing cards with her girlfriends. And when she'd come home, I'd tell her what had happened. She didn't tell my father to remember I was still just a kid and not to be so rough with me. When she wasn't in the room, Dad would call me a tattletale. He'd tell me that Mom wouldn't always be there to baby me, and that if I didn't was smart enough and didn't want to stress her out, I just wouldn't say anything anymore. As the years passed, Dad's playing around. It's started to be something a little more serious. Dad is a smoker. That's why I'm never going to smoke. There was one week back that my mom had to go visit my grandmother in the hospital. My grandparents lived out of state, and with Grandma in the ICU, there wouldn't be anyone to watch after me in the hospital. So Mom felt it was safe to leave me with Dad. I mean, after all, he was my father. He would look after me like his life depended on it, right? No. My mom hadn't even been gone for one full day when my dad thought he could make me his full-time slave. I was around 5 or 6. While my mother was taking care of my grandmother, I was now tending to my father's every whim. If I didn't get whatever he wanted fast enough, Dad would grab me by my arm, and he'd take the cigarette hanging from his lips, and he'd put it so close to my skin that I could feel the heat start to burn me. He'd then say, "Next time I ask you to do something, I think you need to move a little quicker." I'd then promise him that I'd try to move faster next time. When my grandmother got better, Mom came home. Dad said he was glad she was back, and that I had been a perfect angel. With nothing in the house to be seeming out of order, Mom thanked me for being Daddy's little helper. I mean, I never understood. How could Mom see Dad for what he really was? How could anyone be so clueless? As I grew older, Dad's ability, or need to hurt me, got more intense. The old days of Dad simply putting a cigarette close to my skin was replaced with him actually burning me. I mean, who needs all these acting awards when I can have all these little trophies on my arms? I never told anyone because I was really afraid of him now. I simply tried to stay out of his way. I think for the most part, I did a pretty good job of this, now that I was in junior high. The real cliffhanger came when my grandmother died. Dad was unemployed, again, and there simply wasn't enough money for all of us to attend her funeral. So Mom left, and that meant, you guessed it, fun-filled quality time spent with Dad. I knew it was best to try to avoid him as much as possible. So before she left for the funeral, I asked my mom if I could stay the night at a friend's house. She said that'd been fine. So I stayed at my friend's house for 2 nights. And I thought it would be safe to come back home in the morning because Mom was supposed to be back. When I walked into the house, Dad was boiling pot of water on the stove. I mean, this wasn't unusual since he usually made oatmeal for breakfast or boiled a few eggs. The house was a mess. And as soon as he saw me, he started barking orders. I guess not having his daughter around to clean after him made him angry. He yelled at me to clean up the house before Mom got back. I knew I shouldn't have said anything, but I just couldn't take it anymore. There was so much hate in his voice. He grabbed me by my arm, and he forced my hand into the boiling water, and I pulled back as quick as possible. And then it didn't take but a second or two for the blisters to start to form on my hand. And knowing I had nothing to lose, I decided to charge towards Dad, hitting him and slapping him and punching him as hard as I could. He then grabbed me by my hair, and he took the pot of boiling water, and he slowly poured it on my head and down my back. I was screaming and crying just as Mom walked into the house. Welcome home, Mom. Welcome home. Dad's in prison right now. Mom filed for a divorce right away. She blames herself for not protecting me, but she swore she just simply never knew. I hope she didn't. I mean, that's better to deal with than the possibility of her knowing all along, but she just looked the other way. I'm doing okay. It's amazing what they can do with cosmetic surgery these days. I see people looking at the few scars I have left. I try to pretend that they're looking at me because I'm some sort of celebrity. I know, it is stupid. But what else can I do? A hat and a wig can only cover up so much. But life goes on, right? These days, I try to do something a normal teenage girl likes to do. I love to shop, and I love going to the movies. Like I said before, romantic comedies are my favorite. They're the best. They make me smile. And you can do okay in this world if you can find something that can just make you smile every once in a while.
That was good.